Hi, folks. I'm Jamie Hiles.
I'm Lydia Judy.
And I'm Derek Lemaster.
This is Scream Bloody Movies, the podcast where we review a horror movie each week, go over the horror news, and we shave. Right, Derek?
Yep.
Looking good. Looking good. Lydia, you're looking good. I have not shaved this week. I'm trying to beat Derek's record from last week. I don't think I'll do it, but I'm going to try.
Hey, that was out of like sheer stupidity. I don't know if it's out of stupidity, but like I don't have any of my stuff. Like
Oh, right.
if I let this go too far, like I don't have trimmers, so I had to borrow some trimmers.
Yeah, that's what I hate is when like this is as long as it's going to get, because once it gets past this, it's just I hate shaving it off.
Yeah,
I tried to clean shave.
Mine's really patchy, so
yeah, I noticed that.
I know. I was going to say something, Lydia.
Yeah.
I do have an update on my house.
Yeah, what's that?
The timetable should be around the 15th of April.
Oh.
Yeah, and then we're gonna put that sucker on the market and sell it for as much as we can get out of it.
Hopefully it's a lot, not a little.
Yeah, I know. Crossing my fingers. Crossing my fingers.
How are you guys doing today? Good?
terrible.
Oh.
Thanks for asking.
I'm gonna go with an 82.
82%? That's not bad. That's a solid B plus. I'm not gonna lie, I was down at like a D. And then I started talking to you guys and I feel good. I'm about a B now. A B now too.
You guys always make me feel better.
Well, I'm glad. You guys make me feel better too.
You know, I did get down earlier today, and then I just started thinking about Will Smith and how much his life sucks right now, and I felt better.
Well, I would still take his life over mine.
Are you kidding me?
Oh my gosh.
I think the billions of dollars probably makes it go down easier.
Maybe.
Derek, when you said you got down earlier today, I just imagine you dancing.
That is something you don't want to see, let me tell you.
So I got down.
No rhythm.
Yeah.
I dance with the baby sometimes, but you know.
She doesn't know.
She's just happy to move around.
Yeah. When she's able to walk on her own, she's like, wow, so this is what rhythm feels like.
Yeah, exactly. Or whenever she gets older and I embarrass her, that will be the day. And trust me, I will try my best.
As soon as she can talk?
Yes. As soon as she can realize that dad is an embarrassment.
Yeah.
That will be the day.
Yeah, you and I will we'll be doing a lot of that, probably unintentionally.
Most of it's unintentionally.
Yeah, I mean, you do sometimes have a way with words, Derek.
Man.
Lie about that.
Well, all right. Since you brought that up, I've got a story. So one day, I used to be a pizza delivery guy. I think I've mentioned that at least once. And so one day I got this call to bring some pizza out to this guy's house. So I get out to his house and I knock on the door and he opens it. I can see he's got crutches, right? But I don't like up and down this guy. But he's got crutches and he's like, hey, can you set those on the table? And I walk into his house and I set them on the table and I turn around and before I can like realize what is going on, I was like, oh, did you hurt your foot? And I look down and he doesn't have a leg.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, I am so sorry. Then I asked him if he wanted to race and I got out of there.
Nuh-uh.
I did not do that.
I was like, no, you didn't.
Talk about putting your foot in your mouth. You swallowed that, guys.
Oh my gosh.
No, I did not do that, but it would have been real funny and he would have had a good story to tell.
Yeah, after he beat you to death with his crutches. Man found pizza delivery man found beaten to death with crutches. Assailant escaped on foot. The thinker, that's a good one. It's a good one. Good Lord. So, you guys, I'm excited to talk about tonight's movie. had a good time watching it. I had got some takeaways from it. Some interesting stuff I want to talk about. But first, let's start this week like we do every week and hit up the horror news. So I've got some interesting tidbits here. First on the agenda is, did you guys hear this? That HBO Max is reportedly developing a It prequel series called Welcome to Derry.
I did hear that, yeah.
I heard the rumor, but I didn't see anything about it.
It says the series will begin in the 1960s, in the time leading up to the events of Part 1. The story is also said to include the origin story of Pennywise the Clown. What are you guys' thoughts on this?
Do we know anything about the cast?
It doesn't say. I would imagine. All we know is Andy Muschietti is producing it. He and his wife Barbara are producing it, but it doesn't say anything about a cast as of yet. I would have to imagine that he'd be back as Pennywise.
Yeah.
I don't think they would develop it without him. I don't think it'd work without him.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
And Bill Skarsgård played Pennywise, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and he's great in it.
He is really good, yeah. That's probably his best role.
Yeah, one of them. Yeah, he's really great in it.
Yeah.
I don't see him. I don't see him moving forward without him. He was very memorable. He's the second most memorable Pennywise because Tim Curry is the OG.
He is the OG. That was his real hair too, apparently. No, for real though. That was his real hair.
No.
Yep.
No.
Fact check that stuff. I'm telling you, that was his real hair.
Fact check it right now. Watch.
It's just
all right, and if I'm wrong, I'm going to take a drink of my tea.
Oh, man, don't do that.
I love those pictures of him smoking.
Yeah, in the costume.
I know. It's hard not to think about that. I despise the habit, but...
Derek, I'm sorry to tell you you're wrong, brother.
No! That is... Really?
You ready? Yeah.
Yep.
You ready? Let me share this with you.
Well, I'm going to walk upstairs and tell my wife she was wrong.
Did she tell you that?
Yeah.
Well, if we're going based off of photographic evidence,
yep, I would say that's pretty definitive.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not to mention his hair is not bright red.
Well, obviously, if that were the case, they would have dyed his hair. But yeah, so yeah, my wife was wrong. Just for the record.
You don't get to say that often.
No, I say it a lot.
In a safe space. In a safe space.
in a safe space, you're right.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Guys, there's 2 bits of news for the price of one. So first, they are remaking. Did you guys know that they are remaking Nosferatu?
Yeah, we talked about that at one point.
Did we talk about it? I forgot that we talked about it.
I'm like pretty sure, although I was pretty sure Tim Curry.
You were also pretty sure that the Wolfman was in colors.
Oh my gosh. Ugh. You know that was a joke, right? I was just kidding.
Yeah. Now, like 50 episodes later, you're gonna try to take that back.
Yeah, you know.
Almost a full year later.
Fake news. That's fake news. Never happened.
Lord. Oh Lord. You're shameless. You're shameless. You should... So, anyway, so if we did talk about it, then I'm going to bring it up again. Robert Eggers, Lydia, by the way, is the one remaking Nosferatu, who of course made The Witch and The Lighthouse.
Okay, I'm down. So
Yeah,
down. I feel
but
like me and him need to talk.
yeah, he's great. But there is a downside to this news I'm telling you guys, which is that it's actually on hold because Harry Styles was originally going to be in it and he dropped out.
Okay. Sure.
Harry Styles pulled out, citing scheduling concerns, and the cinematographer had already enrolled his daughter to school in Prague. So basically, there's no further mention of Nosferatu movie, but Anna Taylor-Joy is supposed to be in it, I guess. Um. So, yeah, so that's on hold at the moment. But what are you guys' thoughts on a Nosferatu remake directed by Robert Eggers?
I'm so down. I already said.
Yeah,
I love Nosferatu.
yeah.
It's no secret.
No, it's not a secret at all. Not at all. Derek, what are your thoughts?
I don't know how. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing that Harry Styles pulled out. I don't know how I feel about that as far as a casting choice, but yeah, I hope they move forward with the project.
So do I. I agree. I don't know about Harry Styles as a casting choice either. He would have to have played Hutter, right? I mean, they didn't cast him as I highly doubt they casted him as Max Shrek or as
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Count
that's what I was
Orlok.
trying to
Yeah,
imagine. And
yeah,
it's really hard to do. But he's a creative guy. I don't know much about him, but I know that he's an artsy kind of guy, and I feel like that with makeup and everything, maybe it could
maybe.
happen. Who knows?
Who would you cast as uh Count Orlok at this point?
Besides Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, besides Willem Dafoe, who's already played him, kind of.
Yeah, that's why I said that. I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about that one. It's really hard to cast him.
Yeah, it is. Do you have a
Okay.
thought, Derek?
I don't know why my initial thought was like, yeah, Jim Carrey would.
Oh,
That's actually a pretty good casting choice, Derek.
it's because of
I thought it
Count
was a
Olaf.
crazy choice though.
Yeah, because it can, yeah, exactly. No, actually, I think his facial structure,
Yeah, he could
he'd
nail
probably
it.
be, he would definitely do it.
That would be cool.
Plus, I want to see
I would
Jim
definitely
Carrey
watch
do
that.
All
everything.
day.
So
Yeah,
I know,
yeah,
right?
for sure.
Jim's where it's at, man. Jim is where it's at. So, uh, this next bit of news is cool. Wes Craven's Cursed is coming to Blu-ray from Shout Factory. It comes
Cursed.
out May 10th. Have you
Werewolf?
guys seen Cursed, the werewolf one?
Yeah.
Yes, that's a fun movie.
Yeah, so maybe sometime in May we can do that one.
Yeah,
I
I'd be
would
down for that.
Yeah.
So, fun fact, that was the first time I'd ever seen Michael Rosenbaum in a role that he had hair.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because was on Smallville at the time, and so it was like really shocking when he was on screen and he had hair. I'm like, what? That's not right. I thought that was his natural hair.
That's that movie has a
forgot
lot.
about Smallville.
That movie has a lot of history. We'll get into it when we do it, but they shot a completely other movie for that movie. 90% of a completely different film was shot, and then the movie was completely reshot for Cursed.
Of Cursed?
Yeah, Skeet Ulrich was in it, the original version of it. He was the lead. He was the co-lead. Yeah, Skeet Ulrich was the original co-lead.
I don't know
to
who
Christina
that is.
Ricci. Yeah, you do. It's Billy Loomis from Scream.
Oh yeah, yeah, I did know his name was Skeet, which is a very interesting name.
There's
What?
only two Skeets I know: Skeet Ulrich and Skeeter from Doug.
Skeeter Valentine.
Dude, wow. Is there any type of version, a
So
director's cut or
there's not. The hope was the Shout Factory would have it. It has the unrated cut, so the R-rated, the uncut version, and the theatrical PG-13 version, but it doesn't have the Craven cut because the Craven cut was never finished. The ending was never shot. 90% of the movie was shot, and it was edited together. It was a like a 95-minute movie already without the ending shot. When the shit ass Weinstein saw it, didn't like it, ordered reshoots. They had to. Skeet Ulrich dropped out. They had to rework the script. Kevin Williamson wrote it. They reworked the script, reshot the whole movie. It tested very well. He made him reshoot again, and they reshot a whole new ending, which was worse, a worse ending. And the budget ballooned to like $75 million for a werewolf horror movie. Wild.
Wow.
wow. You know what? I would pay money just to see what the original cut looked like,
Yeah, I would too. And then we could
even
storyboard
without
the
the
ending.
ending.
Yeah, storyboard the
Yeah.
ending or something. I'd love to see it. Hopefully one day we get to see that compiled footage because it's
Yeah.
footage shot by Wes Craven. So I'd at least
We
like
should
to
start a petition, man.
release the Craven
for
cut.
Zack Snyder.
Sure did.
We can get old Wes one more victory.
Yeah. And then finally, the last bit of horror news I have here is, guys, exactly 1 year from today, Scream 6 will be in theaters. So it comes out
Ooh.
already 1 year from today. So March 31st, 2023, which is a real quick turnaround, but not as quick
Yeah.
as Scream 2's. Scream 2's
I'm gonna
turnaround was
have
less
to.
than a year.
I'm gonna have to watch that.
You haven't
The
seen it
last
yet,
one.
have you? Yeah,
Yeah,
you
I
haven't
haven't
seen
seen
it yet.
5.
Have you seen it, Lydia?
No.
Ooh, I can't wait to hear your guys' thoughts on it. I have a lot of thoughts on it. I went and saw it by myself because that's the sad thing about me. I go see horror movies
Hey,
by
man.
myself.
If I didn't have 2
Is
kids.
it sad? Is it though?
No, it's actually great. It's the
Yeah.
only way.
I'm envious of that. I would feel horribly guilty to Jake if I ever went to the movies by myself. I would love to just go sit by. I went to one movie by myself ever in my whole life, and
Really?
it was Frankenweenie.
Nice.
Oh,
It was.
man,
I
to
went with
one
my.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I went with my two best friends, and they both wanted to watch. What's that musical? Um,
Rent?
shoot, no. It was. I can't think of anybody's names in that movie. I'm just not a musical person, but uh the
High
girl who
School
did
Musical?
the girl who did the cups song, Anna
Oh, Pitch Perfect.
something. Pitch Perfect
Yeah,
was
Anna
on.
Kendrick.
It was
Was
either
it Pitch Perfect?
Pitch Perfect 2, and like they wanted to see that, and I was like, I do not want to see that.
I know.
I really want to see Frankenweenie. That is right up my alley.
So you went by yourself to see it?
Yep.
Hey, you gotta do what
In
you gotta
3D.
do.
And
Nice.
I've got a fun movie by myself story. I was in North Carolina, I think. I was on a business trip and I had to work through the weekend and into the next week. I was there for 2 weeks and I didn't have anything to do. So I was like, I'm going to go see Kong Skull Island. And then when I got there and I got in line, the guy behind me like looked at the line and then just walked in the theater. He didn't even pay for his ticket. He just walked in. I'm like, oh, okay.
Did you follow him? Did you do the same?
I did not. I stood in line and I paid for my ticket.
Good, good. We have to support the filmmakers.
That's right.
That's right.
Good on you. I've seen so many movies by myself. I can't even count them. I mean, I go all the time. I've like movies for the first time by myself. I've seen. I went and saw Knives Out by myself recently. When that came out, I went and saw that by myself.
That
I went
was
and
a
saw
great one.
Scream. Yeah, it's a great one. Went and saw Scream 5 by myself. I usually see James Bond movies the second time or third time by myself. Like I'll go and watch it like three times in a theater. So I'll see it a second time by myself. Um, I'm trying to think of the. Oh, I know what the weirdest one. It was the Kevin Costner romance vehicle, Message in a Bottle.
You
I
went to
did,
see that in the movie theater by yourself?
I didn't know what it was. I was young and I didn't really see a trailer for it. I remember back in the day when you would have to look at the newspaper to see what's playing in the theater.
Oh
I
my
looked in the
gosh.
newspaper and Message in a Bottle with Kevin Costner was playing, and the other movie was I don't even know what it was. So I was like, I'll go see I like Kevin Costner. I'll go see this Kevin Costner movie. Didn't know what it was about. I sat there and there's this fucking romance movie, and there's me and like a bunch of like not a bunch of people, but the people that are there are all couples. And then there's me as a like teenager or preteen sitting in the front like this, just like, oh my god, there's nothing to do on that weekend or on that summer afternoon, so that's what I did. And then I was like, well, that movie was a bummer. Okay, I'm out of here.
It wasn't good.
No, I mean, I don't think so. I don't think so.
We were too poor to have newspapers or to spend money on newspapers. But I do remember you could call the Eastwood
Mhm.
Cinema and sit there for
Yep.
20 minutes while they ran through all the theater, or well, I guess there were only two at the time.
Yeah, I
Go
wasn't.
through each movie
All of
and the
them.
breakdown
All
of
two of
whenever
them.
they
All
play.
two of them.
All two of them.
Yeah. No, the other one that comes to mind is Rush Hour. I went and saw that by myself too. That
Yeah.
was the good one. I just was like, we were over at my dad's friends, and I was bored, and I was like, "Dad, can I go to the movies?" Like, yeah. What's playing? I was like, "That Rush Hour. I'll go see it," and I loved it. I came out of the movies like, "What? Jackie Chan karate chop people." It's good stuff. All right, guys. Now that we told our going to the movies by ourselves stories, which I'm sure you guys are riveted by, because that's why you tuned
Got
into
me
this
like, I can't
podcast.
wait.
What else did you see at the movies? We'll tell you next week, so stay tuned. Next
Yes.
time, I'll tell you about the movies I went and saw with only one person.
Mm.
Other than yourself.
Did you ever go with like, a big group of people though?
Yeah, a couple times.
Because
Yeah.
that's rare for me. It's only been very few times I've gone with a group.
We did when we went and saw Star Wars.
Oh man, I remember we all went to see Superman Returns.
Yeah,
Remember
we
that?
did. We did go see Superman. We used to go all the time. The big group of us, Derek,
Yeah, I
because
know.
we went and saw Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Yep.
That was really
I remember.
awkward.
Go ahead.
We were with Carrie, and I was
Yeah.
sitting right beside Carrie, and there's like a really awkward sex scene, and I'm just like, this is awkward.
I remember when you got in my trunk and you, me, and Carrie went to the movie theater or the drive-in.
Drive-in. Yeah.
Yeah,
Went
and
and saw
Oh my
you
Click.
got them for free
Mhm.
because we put you in the trunk.
Went and saw Click.
Oh,
Shout
That's
out to
what
Carrie.
it was. Was that? Yeah.
The OG. Yep.
that movie made me cry really hard.
It wasn't that
You
bad,
know, I
Lydia.
likened it
Oh
to
man, I
a
cried
modern day
hard.
"It's a Wonderful Life." I
Yeah,
feel like
it's
it's a
fun.
good
Yeah, it's a fun one.
comparison movie.
It's not
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we did that. We actually all went as a group to see Halloween Kills, even though we had to be separated for some reason.
Right.
And
Yeah,
then
we did.
but Halloween Ends, we'll go as a group again.
I saw Legion in a group. All my
I
Legion.
friends
thought
and
about that
everything. That
movie
one was pretty
today.
good.
Legion. Yeah, that is a good one. Yeah. I thought about that a
And
couple weeks
Shutter
back.
Island. Saw
Shutter
Shutter
Island's
Island in
good.
a group. That was
Nice.
cool.
We went and saw all of them. One of the funniest movies. Last story. One of the funniest movie stories was Carrie and I went to the movie. We always used to go to the movies together to watch horror movies and any kind of movie, but horror movies especially. And we went to go see the Hilary Swank movie, The Reaping. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I
No,
remember that one.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
It's okay. Yeah, it's okay. But
Okay.
we went and saw it, and we go to the theater, and it's literally only Carrie and I in the theater. Nobody else. Like, usually there's at least a couple people. There was nobody. It was literally the two of us. So we sat like smack dab in the middle with the best seats. And then we're just like, we randomly yell because there's nobody that we would disrupt. And we took pictures because we were like, this is insane. But that was the one time I went to, and that should tell you how big of a hit The Reaping was.
Dude,
Man,
you should have
missed
pulled a
that.
Nova from. I said you should have pulled a Nova from American Pie 2, and if you think really hard, you might get it.
You know what I should have done is I should have pulled a Kurt and just said, "You got those hoots?
You hootin'?
You hootin'? You hootin'? What is it? The cherry tree." So, guys,
Oh my
let's
god!
switch gears and let's talk about James Wan's classic sequel to The Conjuring 2, which was released in 2016. Seems longer than that, doesn't it?
It does seem longer than that,
2016.
yeah.
2016. Yeah.
It was a good year.
Well,
It was an okay year.
there's some bad shit that happened at the
There
end of
was
that
some,
year.
but for my life, it was.
It
alright.
forever
It was okay.
changed the landscape of our lives.
Yeah.
I
But that's
haven't.
neither here nor there. That's for our other podcast.
Yeah.
Which one?
So-
Which other podcast?
Oh,
The Batman one or the?
not the Batman one. Not the Batman one. That's for our third podcast that only Derek and I listen to. Called
Dude,
Better Dead Than Red.
Better Dead Than Red. Dude, we should start a political podcast.
No, I don't think so.
I think that would be a lot of fun. 30 minutes. We could throw 30 minutes of footage together.
So, guys, let's talk about your Conjuring 2 stories. Start with you, Lydia.
I saw it in theater with probably my dad and Jake, maybe my best friend. I can't exactly remember. But I loved it. I was so happy of how scared I was again. I love the nun character. It was such a thing, just in its own world. Like I just love it. I had a good time. I saw it in theater for sure, and then I bought it twice. I must have bought it and then forgot that I bought it and then bought it again because I was like, ooh,
Oh
that's
my
a good
gosh.
movie. I'm gonna buy that. So I have 2 copies of it.
Hey, you can't go wrong with that. Derek, your story.
I don't know that I've seen the movie. I think I saw it one time. And I don't know if I saw it in a movie theater. I don't know. I don't have a really great story about this. It's a good movie, but I just remember that I watched it at one point.
No, well, okay. That's all that really matters. You've
And
seen
I bought
it
it for the
before.
first time this week.
Was it in color?
You're only allowed
That's a
one
good
of those
question.
jokes an episode, Lydia.
We already did that. Sorry.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I was
Damn
just
it.
curious. I was genuinely curious.
Genuinely curious about the way it looked. That's all. Not a big
You
deal.
guys would you'd feel really bad if I were colorblind.
Yeah, we would.
This movie doesn't have a lot of color in it, so it could be easily mistaken
That's true.
for a black and white movie if you were
Man.
like
Ah,
red deficient or something. I
even-
don't know what they call it.
yeah. I thought of a really good joke in our previous segment of this, and I forgot to tell it to you guys.
Oh God, what is this?
You want to hear it now?
Sure.
All right.
Is that relevant?
No, not to what we're about to say, but it's a
Put
really
yourself
funny joke.
into the mind of last
Okay.
week.
Let's go
No,
there.
not last week. Last like the last segment, the horror news.
Oh,
I was
okay.
gonna say that
Oh,
they
no.
that they're coming out with the new Goosebumps movie.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's called
Goosebumps.
Slappy 3, Prince of Bel-Air.
No, oh my gosh. Derek, you had my hopes so far up. My hopes just went out the window.
That's what you get for making another werewolf joke. On my
Good Lord, this episode's already off the rails. Off the
okay.
rails.
All right, we can move into our
I'm glad
regular scheduled program.
glad we backtracked for that genius joke.
We're gonna cut it out. I'll edit this one, guys.
I'll cut this one. I'll cut this one. All right. My Conjuring story, part 2. I went to the movies to see this with Sarah, actually. And we went and saw this, and I loved it. Like the first time I watched it, it was scary. Sarah was terrified, which made it even better. She was terrified, and I just was sitting back and enjoyed it. And I think we only watched it once in the theater, and then as soon as it came out, I bought it, and I've watched it several times. Not like not Halloween levels of rewatched. It's another level, but I've watched it quite a few times. This is probably about, I'd say, the fifth or sixth time I've seen this movie. And I really enjoy it. I really enjoy it. So, I remember sitting in the theater, all the scares worked. When we'll get to the particular ones that I really enjoyed, and what got the big reactions in my theater, which is what I really can't wait to talk about. But yeah, it was a good time. So, guys, you want to approach this like we did last week? You want to just kind of free for all, talk about the good stuff, what we want to as we go through. Let's talk about the beginning, the opening of this movie, though, because I have this take. My take is that the opening of this movie is scarier than the entire Amityville Horror.
It is.
I agree. You know what was really great about the opening of this movie? Like the shot of the Amityville house and the cover of the movie is so iconic. Because I had, like I said, it's been a while since I've seen this. I think I saw the movie one time, so I remembered some aspects, but I didn't remember the beginning. But as they're pulling through this through the window, and they reveal the second window, even before she said like where they were, I knew exactly what case this
They're
was.
working.
That's how iconic
yeah.
that story is. And it's not really scary. We kind of determined that, but like so iconic, I knew exactly where they were.
It's an exciting moment because they don't talk about it in the trailer and the previews. So it's just like like you see it and like it's one of those
instantly,
like rewards that they like to just be like, here you go, fans. Here you go. We know you want
exactly. And also, I like it as I was watching it. I literally thought that I was like, man, this is a better retelling of that. This little scene is scarier and does a better job of it than the entire 70s movie. And like, I love the scene where I love how they shot, no pun intended, but how they shot the shootings, because it's her just miming a gun, and then the squibs hit, and then she walks by the mirror and you see Ronnie DeFeo.
Yeah.
You see her as Ronnie DeFeo, and it's really great. So good. And then we're introduced to...
Go ahead. It gives you that like Insidious kind of feel too. Like she, this weird like other world that she's entered into.
Yeah, that only she can enter into. Yeah.
and she's not actually there, actually holding something. It's like it's just so
In her
strange.
mind. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like in her mind, her spirit has left
Hmm.
and is checking this out. And I love uh the way it's shot and
Like
everything.
astral
And then we're
projection.
yeah, astral projection. Kind of. I mean, that's what Insidious is. So
Hmm.
somewhat.
Yeah.
Um, and then we're introduced to one of the scariest characters ever. Uh one of the most iconic characters ever in The Nun. We see the nun for the first time in
Wait,
this.
even before then, that look. So I look. So the most famous picture from that case
Yes,
is this
yes, you do
picture
see
of
Yes.
it.
that little
Yeah,
boy poking
Yes.
his head around, and
yeah,
it's
with the
the
eyes.
creepiest thing. Yeah, it's the creepiest
Yeah,
thing. And I love how they wove that into this opening scene because it like wow,
Awesome.
it was
Yes.
wonderful. It was
yeah,
so
it's so
I'm
good. That
glad you
good.
was
brought that up.
perfect.
Yeah, it's great. It's really when I was watching it, I pointed that out too. I thought about that too. I was like, man, that is so cool because that's like that famous picture that we see, and
Yeah.
it's like an explanation for it. And then when she follows him down, and that's when we're introduced to the nun, who is fucking terrifying looking,
Oh my
so
gosh.
scary, so scary. And she sees a figure dying, and we don't see who it is yet. Gets impaled. But what was your guys' first impressions of the nun? I mean, when you saw this, Derek, go ahead.
uh, Easily one of the scariest entities I've seen on film. Like just the entire aesthetic of the nun, the eyes, the fact that it is a nun, right? Because it kind of
Mhm.
flips that. Um,
Yeah, it's a
uh,
perversion, like she said. It's a
exactly.
perversion of her faith. Yeah,
Yep, exactly. And so, yeah, it's so scary. There's a couple scenes in this movie with her. One specific, probably one of the creepiest scenes I've ever seen in my
oh
life.
yeah, we'll get to that. One
Yeah,
of
I
the
can't
best
wait
set
to get to
pieces
it. Yeah.
ever. Yeah.
I agree. I first time seeing the nun, it's like, oh my God. Like they really just did themselves with this makeup. And I remember just trying to figure out how. How did they make this person so scary? And I was like, who's playing this person? Like, and now finding out who played the person, I mean I was like, is this like maybe a man and that's why it's so like tall and looming and like the long face, and then it's like a woman who I recognize from other things. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh
Yeah.
my God, I would never think in a million years that she would be this iconically terrifying character.
Yeah. Very
I
scary
love it.
character.
I'm looking that up
Yeah.
right now because I don't know who it was.
I recognize her from Princess Diaries with Anne Hathaway. Oh my gosh, dude, I've watched that
Uh,
movie like I, I
yeah,
don't countless times as a
it's
kid.
Bonnie
So
Aarons. Yeah, it's Bonnie Aarons is her name.
she's
Bonnie
amazing. I mean, she has like the most unique like structure, like facial structure I've ever seen.
Yeah, she
And I
does.
mean, to cast someone so unique looking, and it just brings like a whole nother
There you go,
level.
Derek.
Oh, the demon nun. Okay.
Right here she is. See her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what a structure, you know?
Yeah, great face. She's got a great face. Her facial structure is very strong and very
Yeah.
angular and pointy. So
Yeah,
it works real well for that character.
yeah, it
Um,
does
Yeah.
really well. I mean, it
yeah.
doesn't even seem. Oh man, I can't even put into words how incredible the nun is.
Yeah, so good. Such a good character. Such a great look. And the way James shoots her is so great too. The way he cloaks her in shadow and darkness and just keeps her mysterious enough.
Hmm.
James Wan, by the way, like always, one of our
Yeah.
one of our masters of horror. He's one of the modern masters for sure.
Oh yeah, I
for sure.
definitely think his stuff will stand the test of time. This
Yeah.
Yep.
these last two movies we've reviewed are
This is
next
our
level.
third. This is our third James Wan movie, guys.
It is.
Yeah, after the great, excellent *Malignant*, and then the two *Conjurings*. Um, so the movie is interesting because it's split up at this, like it's split up kind of into like two portions. We have the Warrens at home, and then we have the uh haunting in England. So we kind of have these two portions, and they go on kind of at the same time a little bit at the beginning here in Enfield. What do you guys think of what are you guys' thoughts on the structure of the movie? The way it splits these two storylines and then they converge in like the second act.
It's perfect. They nailed it.
Yeah, I
I'm looking through
think
pictures.
it's
Sorry.
very good to I think it's a great way to build the tension of the story.
Yeah. Here's the thing with something like that. You very easily could screw that up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It would be so easy to mess that up because, like, if one is stronger than the other or more compelling, then you're like, well, why
Mhm.
are we watching this? I want to go back to this. The way that they wove it together, it's brilliant because
Well,
you are engaged with both aspects, and you're just waiting for these things to come together. It's great.
and that's what's great about it is it's literally how do I want to say it? So the reason I think it works so well is because you care as much about Ed and Lorraine's domestic life and their story as you
Hmm.
do about the horror, right? And I'm going to get into that a little bit in a little bit as well. But I like that. I mean, we know that Ed and Lorraine are going through this thing right here where they are basically being accused of being clout chasers at this point. Um, and Lorraine is having some visions of Ed dying. She finds out that it's Ed that's dying in her visions, so she doesn't want to do any more cases. So they're kind of going through their own personal turmoil of what good are we if we can't do what we need to do, and also how effective are we if people just think we're chasing clout and not trying to help them. So we have that story arc going on with the terror of this family at the same time, and they're both equally compelling.
Yeah. So two things to touch on. First off, if I were Lorraine and I walked in on Ed and he was making a picture and it happened to be that nun, first off, I'm not letting him keep that in my house.
Right?
That's got to
Like
go.
literally, you'd be like, please stop painting that paint
Yeah.
over it. Like, get rid of it.
Put that in the
Right?
You know
garage.
what?
I don't
Wouldn't
know.
you?
Put it at the curb. Sell it. But let's not
You
stay
know
in my
what?
house.
Let's just talk about it. I mean, it happens a little bit later in the movie, but let's just kind of break these into two sections. Let's talk about the Warrens plot, and then we'll go into the haunting plot, and then we'll converge the two. Um, because yeah, uh, the scene where a couple scenes. The scene where she sees her in the hallway, where she sees the nun in the hallway,
Oh
which
my
is
Hmm.
leading,
gosh.
which leads into the great scene when he paints. Yeah, when he paints the nun, it's scary, and you're like, tell him that that's that creepy ass bitch you saw. Let
Yeah,
him know right
Yeah.
now. Um,
literally.
but this scene, guys, is an all timer. It's like a standout all timer, right?
It is. Yes.
When I was in the theater and this scene was going, I could feel the tension in the room, and
Yeah.
I could feel the chills on my arm. The way it's
Hmm.
blocked and set up is so just it's so simple but beautiful. Like that first you see her down the hall and she's like, who's that? And it's
Her daughter.
terrifying. She's like in her
Yeah.
house, yeah. And her daughter sees her and it's like, oh my God. So when she goes into that room, guys, and we get the false scare of the painting,
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. You're like, oh, and then
Dude,
the lights, boom, 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 and then the shadow on the
that
wall. Oh,
the honestly, and it kind of like is freaking me out right now. But like the scariest scene in this setup is when she goes to turn the light on. This is before it like comes at her. When she goes to turn the
yeah,
light on, the way that the eyes and like the
are
actual
lit.
figure are,
Yes.
Yeah,
it is the creepiest thing.
They're
yeah, it's
they're
so
her.
scary.
They're
Oh
watching.
my
Like
god.
Yeah.
they're not a painting anymore.
Hmm.
That's the
Yeah, I
coolest thing,
fully
really.
expected like it to, grab onto her, do something, but then she turns the light on and it's still just a painting.
Yeah, but it
Oh my gosh,
changes.
it
Yeah,
was.
yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
changes slightly. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
it's so
and then
good.
when the shadow, the way the shadow comes across the wall, and you just
Oh
know
man.
and it's just the tension is building, and then the one hand, then the other hand, so scary.
Hmm.
It's an all timer. It's an all timer jump
Dude,
scare.
I had to laugh at that though because I mean, me and Jake both
Mhm.
kind of laughed and looked at each other because she's standing there, right? And she's like she watches the shadow go to the picture and it stops. And so she's looking and you see the fingers come out on one side and it shows her and she's like looks
Yeah,
at the fingers and then it shows the other fingers come out and it's like
yeah.
like it
Well, I mean,
shows her like run away.
well, they have to
Like,
build the
oh, I
tension.
wonder if the other fingers are gonna come out. Like,
You have
get
to
out
build
of
the
there.
tension. You have to build the tension with the shot. And also, it's in her dream, it's in her mind, so she can't do anything anyway. She's
Mm-hmm.
having a vision of this.
Oh,
This
okay.
is a
I
vision.
don't think I realized it was a vision.
Yeah, because remember, she
Yeah,
wakes
because
up, yeah,
yeah.
back in the on the couch and she starts carving the name
Mm,
Valak into her Bible.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
That scene though, I mean, I feel like we could go on and on about it because it is so perfect and so scary. Like, it's like if you ever sit in a room and just fully freak yourself out,
Oh, you can easily
like,
do it. Yeah.
and he captures that feeling that is relatable of like that's what I don't want to happen.
Yeah.
You're like, this is exactly what I want, don't want.
Yeah. Yeah. I
He
could I
nails it.
I was writing one time. It's funny. One time I was writing a script, the movie for the movie Tormentor, the Tormentor script, and I was thinking of like a horror scene. I was like, I'm writing it and I'm trying to think of what's scary, whatever. And I'm like, what if he, was in the corner? There's, the scare scene happened, and I looked over and I imagined the villain in the corner rushing at me, and I was like, oh, I got chills,
Yeah.
and I was like, type, 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 type. That scared me. I think it's gonna work.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that. I've had that moment like a few times when I surprise myself by scaring myself with nothing. And I'm
Yeah.
like, it's the weirdest thing, but you're just like, okay, calm down.
When I was a kid, I
Like,
used to do it
settle
all the
down,
time.
Lydia.
When I was a kid, you do it all the time, walking
Yeah.
from the kitchen to the bathroom or from the
Hmm.
kitchen to
Mm-hmm.
the living room, and you're like, I feel somebody watching me. There's something in there.
Yes.
Yep.
What if
The
what
couch is a
if
safe
what if
space.
there's something behind
Yeah.
me? Yeah.
The
Yeah.
And
couch
I
is
think
always a safe space.
that's how, ghost stories come about. It's like you have that feeling and then you tell someone about it and convince them that it's a thing and then you scare yourself even more and then
Mm-hmm.
it can just grow and spread where
Yeah,
you get like urban legends and like,
exactly.
all these great ghost stories that are out there and like everybody like I feel like every family has their own kind of
Ghost
ghost
stories.
stories and like
Yeah,
weird, little made up ones even that weren't probably ever real, but
yeah,
someone freaked themselves out and told someone else.
Yeah.
yeah. It's
It's a real emotion.
yeah. It
So
captures it
it's
really well in this
powerful.
scene. It's really
Yeah.
good. One of the
Yes.
all timers, best scenes. Also, what's great about the Warrens version here is that we. So I'm gonna say something now that I think is true for the whole thing, and see if you guys agree with me. This movie, The Conjuring 2, is a love story.
Yep.
Conjuring 2 is a love story. It's Ed and Lorraine's love story. It's what the movie is. So we get their characters built so strongly. We have strong emotions from the first movie with them. And also these actors are just brilliant. So you just can't help but love them.
They've got really good chemistry together.
Great chemistry. So you're like, okay, I'm in on this. So when they're going through their little emotions, it's we feel it. We're like, okay, yeah. We can understand why she doesn't want to lose Ed. We all have that feeling of not wanting to lose somebody. So that's relatable. And then we get to the other half of the story, which is the actual haunting that's going on before Ed and Lorraine show up. And
real quick, I want to, before I lose the thought. So there's a scene where they're sitting at the table and Lorraine tells Ed that she wants to stop.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, well, if it's this, we can stop doing that. And like, obviously she's got her motivations for doing that. She thinks it's going to lead to his death. And you can tell, like, the way that he plays that part is that, like, he likes the job, but I felt like it went beyond that. More like he was chasing the like the thrill of it.
Well,
does that make any sense?
Yeah, I think it's yeah, I read it as it's his calling.
Yeah, that
I think it's definitely like a combination of all these things. Like he wants to like help people improve himself, and like he knows that they can do it because they've done it.
Yeah, it's his calling. Yeah. And it leads us to right before, I mean, we'll jump to the haunting bit in a bit, but before they leave to go to London or to go to England, right before they leave, he says, I can understand not taking the cases, but we've never not helped a family.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what we've got to help the family any way we can. So that's their dilemma. Then we jump over to England and we meet this lovely little family. The Hodgson's family. And dude, I love the setting of 1977 England.
Right.
Don't you? I just love the aesthetic. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's like so like, I don't know, nostalgic feeling, I suppose, but it definitely sets that time. Like you feel the time.
It's so moody.
Because it's always raining in England. So it's always, overcast. And I love the introduction of the kids. What do you guys think of the little actors they have?
They're so great.
Man, the girl that plays Janet is awesome.
Dude.
Yeah.
I was so impressed with there's the scene where she really kind of first encounters the figure, where she's got her flashlight and she jumps in her bed. Like you feel like she's terrified. She did a great job in that scene of conveying how she felt. I was very impressed specifically with that. She did a great job throughout the entire movie, but you could feel it.
Yeah, I love that the school scene. We set up their dynamic pretty well. Like we know we kind of know who these characters are pretty early. Their dynamics together, and then these scares that happen with the family, the haunting stuff is so good. It's so scary. The scariest to me, and we'll talk about all of them. What do you guys think is the scariest? But the scariest to me before Ed and Lorraine arrive is the one where she's home from school.
The TV scene.
Where the TV scene is so scary.
That's another one. I would just freak myself out, and I would be like exactly like that.
Yeah. So scary. Like the fact that like he appears you see him in the chair behind her, and just all that stuff is, there goes the chills. It's so creepy. When he's like, "This is my house." Ugh.
Oh man. Well, because they do a really good job in that specific scene because you see his reflection in the chair,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah, on the
that's
TV. Yeah,
creepy enough. But then he like pops out from like right beside her, and yeah, it it gives me chills too. I've got them.
yeah.
The yellow eyes. The
The yellow
yellow eyes,
Yeah,
eyes.
though.
Yeah, the yellow eyes
And
do it.
we find out like why that's happening.
Yeah, why that's the case, which,
Yeah.
I'm not going in order. We can talk about that. Well, we'll talk about the twist, I guess, a little bit here in a minute because that's a great one. I love the fact that she's sleepwalking,
Oh my gosh. Ooh, that's the
which is
scariest thing.
which is a tie-in to the last movie as well, actually.
yeah,
Seems to be a trend. Maybe Dad was haunted when he was a kid. He used to sleepwalk. Maybe he was. Side note: Dad did say that he used to astro project. He felt like he would astro project when he was younger.
really
Yeah. Yep.
interesting.
He also sleptwalk. He was one time my grandma caught him in the middle of the street in his underwear, just walking down the
Your
street.
dad?
My dad. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and grandma yelled, "Ricky, Ricky." And he turned back around and came back inside. Never woke up.
You want to hear something crazy?
What?
So, was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday or the day before. Jake was like, I'm always worried. I'm like, please don't sleepwalk because he talks in his sleep sometimes.
Mhm.
And it's usually just like a weird, this random word that makes no sense to me. But the other night, and I hope he doesn't mind me telling that story, but no, he wasn't feeling very good, so he like fell asleep on the couch, and I was just sitting there drawing, and I cleared my throat. I was just like, cleared my throat, and it's like dead silent in the room, and he shouts in his sleep. He was like, I forget what he said. He was like, "Hey." Like he like yelled "hey" like really loud, and I just like I mean I jumped and like looked at him, and he was like, "The fuck are you doing?" And I was like, I was just coughing." he was
Oh
like,
my God.
he was like, "Go," and I was just like, I'm like looking around like, "Go." I was like, Jake, Jake, and I wake him up, and I was like, "Are you okay?" He's totally just yelling at the dog in his dream, and it was like coming out. He was like, I was like, Jake, you were just yelling, and he was like, I was yelling at the dog.
That's hilarious.
I was
I
like,
thought you
oh
were
my
gonna say he
god,
saw like the nun in the corner, but no, it's Radar's
dude,
annoying
that's
ass.
how it felt. I was like, dude, we are possessed right now. I think. What's happening? It was so scary.
Has
I
he
teared
always
up. I was so
done
scared
that?
of him just yelling. Oh, just out of nowhere, after like dead silence. I was like, oh my god, I thought he was mad at me for coughing. I'll get his permission if we can play this story. I just had to tell you guys.
So the when the police come to visit, I mean, there's a big haunting before that. Talk about that. What do you guys think of the big haunting that leads to the police being called?
Yeah. So I would have. I love how whenever the mother witnesses what happens, the next scene is them leaving the house.
Yeah.
That's exactly. First off, I would have never went back, but
No.
that's exactly what I would have done. I would have grabbed the kids, left everything there, and just went out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good. It's scary stuff. Scary stuff. I love the. We're introduced to a lot of stuff in all of this. We're introduced to the Crooked Man.
Oh,
Little
the crooked man
little
is.
whatever it is music box. We're introduced to that little
Yeah,
thing. We're introduced to the little structure, the little tent that a scare happens in. We're introduced
A couple
to
scares happen.
yeah, yeah, with that. So we're also
So real
introduced to
quick,
old boy with his biscuits. We're introduced to that, so that gives us that scare
yeah,
when he when the whole thing starts moving by itself and this is my house.
yeah,
God, can you imagine being that little kid and
nope,
you 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 go into would you have first of all peeked into the tent?
No, I
nope,
wouldn't even get out of my
nope, nope,
bed
nope,
without
nope,
asking
nope,
my
nope. I would have
parents
taken that thing
first.
down.
Yeah, yeah.
I was such a scared little. I grew up in a haunted house,
Mhm.
and I would not get out of bed without asking permission. Like I would make sure that my parents were like awake and aware that I was getting up to go to like the bathroom. You know?
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, there was
Mhm.
like some weird stuff in that house. Not really,
That
not scary, just like, but it was like there.
yeah. That's
Scary when
Here's
you're a kid.
good, Derek.
um. So they, I don't think it tells us like how long they've lived in this house. We find out that um they had bought this house. Her husband left them, but they
Yeah,
had
had
bought this
twins with
house.
with the woman down the street.
I know, right? Honestly, there's a lot of aspects of this that reminded me of a lot of my childhood, other than the haunting part. But that was one of them. Um, but I don't know that we ever find out how long they've lived in this house. So here's the question. In the first movie, there is a reference to a Ouija board. And in
Hmm.
this movie, they make a Ouija board.
Yeah, and that
And it
must
almost seems
unleash.
as
Yeah,
if the where like after that the haunting started.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so
That
yeah, it
tracks
yep,
Hmm.
because
it's more or
they
less what I
do
mean.
summon it. They do summon it, both of them together, and
Yeah,
nothing
you're right. I
happens.
didn't even think about that.
Yeah, they summon it with the homemade Ouija board, and then nothing happens. But the
Yep,
hauntings start shortly after that. Is when the
yep.
Oh.
demonic stuff starts happening.
So there
Um,
was like just like an old man spirit already in the home that wasn't
just floating
causing any
around.
trouble.
Right, or wasn't even there necessarily because maybe the Ouija pulls him out because he said he came back to visit his
Mm,
family. So
yeah,
he was in the afterlife and came back. He was pulled back from the Ouija board probably to visit his
yep.
family, and a demonic entity probably came with him,
And
which
that totally
is
makes sense if
yeah.
the girls like
Ooh.
call upon him and he comes to visit what he would probably think is his family summoning him.
Hmm.
Yeah, that totally tracks.
Yeah. And
Mm-mm-mm.
so once the the scary shit starts, and things start flying through the house and stuff. They when the police come, it's I love the scene where they're looking around and they're like, I don't really see much here, and then the chair just pulls itself oh back against
Yes.
the table, and they're like, well, there's really nothing we can do about that. We gotta
Yeah,
move forward.
I love that. I love that when the girls are like, "Oh my God, there's a ghost!" They're screaming. Mom comes in. She finds the Ouija board. She tears it up
Hmm.
because she's like, "You guys are scaring yourselves, and this is why I can't get any sleep around here." She's
Yeah.
mad, and
Hmm.
then the she's like, "Go back to bed, everybody," and she's like mad, and the dresser flies across
Flies.
the room and slams the door shut, like blocks them in. And it's like one of the most like satisfying moments for me because I don't know how many movies I watched growing up where the parent never believes the kids about the ghost, right? Like
Yeah.
they
It took
never listen, and it's super frustrating because you're like, just tell them, just like, please, just
in
like listen. And this
in
is like immediate, like set
yeah.
it up, and immediately she believes them.
In both
So
Conjurings, that
love
happens. In
it.
both Conjurings, yeah,
Yes, yes.
the first two,
It's
because
it's
it's
just a
like,
satisfying thing.
yeah,
Ugh.
because it doesn't rely on a character's stupidity, because
Yeah.
then it's just them versus skeptics at that point.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
yeah.
It's a
The
smart,
Poltergeist,
only
smart move.
Poltergeist is set up the exact same way.
Yes.
The Freelings find out about the ghost fairly early. The parents, it's not like the parents are like, "You're crazy." They're like,
Hmm.
I'm gonna push this kid across the street.
Yeah, I'd be like, watch this.
But
the only character that I wish would have gotten a really good moment with the nun, just to like really
the
strike
skeptic
some
woman.
fear in her. Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
I wish she would have
Which,
encountered
look,
the
I'm a
nun.
skeptic in real life, but I'm not an asshole. She was an asshole.
She
yeah,
was.
kind of.
She was an asshole.
She was kind of
Because,
brutal about
well,
it.
and here's why. Because it's not like she's just debunked. If she's just debunking it, that's fine. But she's also pointedly like telling the mom that she's part of the cover up and trying to shame her. She's like, she's just doing it to try to get housing. And it's just kind of like, you're kind of rude. You're kind of an a-hole. So when these experts come in, I love the British expert with the glasses.
Oh man,
Yes.
He's so great. He's so
amazing.
sweet. So sweet.
I love the TV montage that they do. Like, oh, this is the haunted house, and he's like standing out there, and he looks so like gangly and
Yeah, I love
just
him.
funny. No, it's great. It was like,
And so the first interview they give with Bill is bone-chillingly terrifying to me. When you first hear Bill talk, I'm Bill Wilkins and I'm 72 years old.
Yes.
You're just like, oh God. It's so scary. What do you guys think?
It's so, I mean, that voice is so freaky.
I love his second one.
Oh,
but,
yeah, the second one's even better. Yeah.
But yeah, and so that ties back into the Warrens because that's how they kind of get involved with this because the church brings them the recording and they don't tell them anything, and so they're playing this recording and they're like, "Oh, what do you think?" And he's just like, "Oh, I mean, he sounds like he's an old confused man." And they're like, "Well, what if I
does
told
he
you
have
this was an
dementia?
11-year-old girl?" Yeah, and
Yeah.
they're like,
Yeah,
he's got a deep voice.
Yeah, it's great how it's very ingenious how they're brought in the movie, how they
Mm-hmm.
script it, because that's a great, because then they're agents of the church. They have to go because, they're being asked to. It's a favor. So they go to this place and, what I love about when Ed and Lorraine arrive at the scene, when they arrive at the house, the dynamics that end up happening are pretty great. Like the scene where Lorraine and Janet are sitting on the porch or on the swing is a great scene.
That plays back into your
the love story. Yeah. So that conversation, she's breaking down her walls, trying to get into her, and then finally, when she tells her there's one person she could, that believed her, and she's like, "What'd you do then?" "I married him." And then she's like, "Does a voice ever talk to you by itself?" "Yeah, it's telling me that it wants to hurt you." It's like, oh, so scary.
It's telling me right now.
Yeah,
I have not had the chills more than I have the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
like
let's talk about let's talk about the Crooked Man while we're here.
Look at the Crooked Man.
Let's talk about the Crooked Man. So we're introduced to the concept of the Crooked Man early. And then we hear the bell ringing. The little boy wakes up to the bell ringing. It's because they're at the neighbor's house and the dog rings the bell when it needs to go out. So he goes over to the front door and there's nothing at the front door. He goes to the back door. Then he sees that at the back door, the dog's sitting there. They have a Rottweiler. And the dog is sitting there. So he goes up to him and he's like, oh, kind of pets with the dog and he's looking out. And it's that like kind of like Steven Spielberg-ish E.T. shot where they're just that wide frame. And then the dog fucking transforms into the fucking Crooked Man out of nowhere, which is scary. The Crooked Man itself doesn't scare me, but that concept of him just you think you see something here and then it transforms right before your eyes is such a scary idea.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, and it was a very so it was a mechanism to help the young boy overcome his stutter. Yes. I think is what the purpose of the song and the song coincided with the little music box.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then they flip it on its head, and they're like, you know what? We're gonna make this,
Well,
awkwardly scary thing.
and they did it. I mean, the demon did it to
Yeah.
break down the boy's will, and it's something that the
Yeah.
boy knows, and he can turn it on him. And so when he pops up, and it's just so scary, and then he's like, he looks so weird because he's like all like just undercranked and shit when they
Mm-hmm.
shot him.
hmm
He's like all
You,
undercranked.
you know,
Uh,
it kind of reminded me of. So obviously, this movie predates it, but there is a character in The Haunting of Hill House that it
mm,
kind of reminded me of.
yeah, yeah. But so that sets up the Crooked Man, and then we hear the rhyme, the Crooked Man rhyme, and then we walk and we find out that it's actually Janet has become the Crooked Man at this point, and then she's like just saying the whole thing. Ugh, it's a good scene.
Yep.
I personally feel like because I love the Crooked Man design and he looks so freaky. He
Yeah,
is so huge.
he's so
He's so
tall and
tall,
lanky.
terrifying. Like the teeth, the hat, the the holes for eyes, whatever
Yeah, the way they do the
situation,
glasses. Yeah, yeah.
the design is incredible. But and I almost wish that I feel like he wasn't necessary in this movie because we
No, they
already
kind of
had
the nun. Yeah,
the nun,
and
the
Bill.
terrifying and Bill. It was like they just kind of threw him in here, and I feel like he deserves his own James Wan.
It's funny you mentioned that. They are actually making a Crooked Man movie.
I hope so,
Are they?
but that confuses
Hmm.
me because is that it would have to be
I agree with.
before. I mean, I guess it doesn't have to be, but
No, no, it doesn't
is
have to
it
be.
Valak, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that the plot of the Crooked
That's
Man
my
movie is.
question.
I don't know what the
And I
plot of the
just hope
Crooked
it's
Man movie
good
is.
because um
We'll get into some of the other.
Yeah. See,
I'm
I
worried,
took the Crooked
guys. I'm
Man a
worried.
little bit of a different way
How did you
because
take it?
you have Bill, right,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
and you don't find out the twist until later, right? But you have Bill, and Bill just comes across it, and he even states it, and maybe it's not really him stating it. He just wants to scare the kids, right? So more like the Crooked Man. What I didn't take the Crooked Man as an entity of his own, more like a phantom that Bill is manifesting to further scare
But
the
I don't
kids.
think that was Bill saying that. I don't think that
I
was
don't.
Bill
No, I
saying
don't.
that
I
he
don't think it
likes to
was
scare the
either.
kids.
Yeah,
Right.
I
So
agree.
it's
I think he
Valak
was
that's
the puppet. Yeah.
controlling all of this fear that's going on.
Yes, correct.
So
Um,
it's like, I mean, and in that sense, it makes sense. But at the time you see the Crooked Man, you don't know that it's Valak doing all this. So it's like, okay, now we have this weird character that seems like his own movie, right? Like he's almost, I kind of put him in a category with the Babadook, where he like has that terrifying like almost storybook because he's in a little riddle for kids, like I I see them kind of similarly in my head as
we
their
don't know
design
what.
goes.
Uh, we have no idea what the Crooked Man movie's about yet. Or when it takes place. So I don't know yet. All we know is that it's been announced that they're making it.
I hope it's good.
I
That's
hope
all I
so
have to
I
too.
say.
hope
I
because
hope
I
it's
didn't see the last
terrifying.
movie that they came out with that the devil
Made me
made
do
You
it
it.
do
haven't
or
Yeah,
seen
what have
it?
you. Yeah.
yeah. We'll watch it.
No,
It'll happen eventually.
I just hope that they continue to make movies with these two characters because,
Oh,
like I
I hope
said,
they
they
make
have great
more. Yeah,
chemistry.
absolutely, absolutely. I
I
actually
feel like
looked it
it can
up
only go
today.
so far.
No, I think you can keep making them, and just keep putting them in different cases. Like,
As long
Yeah.
as you
you
got a
know,
good story.
They have a whole
yeah,
museum of
yeah. There's
stories.
Yeah.
tons. There's endless possibilities of what you can do next.
hmm
Bill Wilkins, second interview. We're so they have all the cameras on her,
Mhm.
or they don't have cameras on her. I'm sorry. They're all around her, and Ed has the idea that she's going to have water in her mouth, and that way we can't, if the voice is coming from behind her, like she says it is, then she won't be able to verbalize it with the water in her mouth. That's the thought. So but she can't do it unless they turn their backs. Which this bit is great because it's, first of all, it's true, but second of all, it keeps us in doubt. Like, maybe maybe some of it this is staged.
Yeah, they do. They're good at that because it's like
Mm-hmm.
we know that it's really happening, but we even doubt it
Yeah.
when things like this, like that's a really cool thing about this movie. It's like,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
it's real and you are doubting it still.
Yeah, because it's a very convenient thing, right?
Hmm.
Turn your back.
Who
And
could
then
possibly believe that?
yeah. And so Derek, you said that you like this one better than the first interview.
I do, and mainly because they blur out the little
Hmm.
girl
Mm-hmm.
on purpose, right? They're focusing on Ed, and you can definitely tell that the conversation starts out with her, but then there's a point where he morphs into
Hmm.
Bill, and it is creepy.
It
Mm-hmm.
is.
The way that he looks all blurred out, there's just something about
Yeah.
it that's very unnerving.
His
Because you can
head gets
just kind of,
longer.
yeah, exactly. You
Hmm.
can just make out like his head start to form.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
especially like when he starts like animating,
yeah.
when he starts to get animated about stuff.
Hmm.
Like when he says, "Why don't you go to heaven?" and he says, "I'm not a heaven man." Oh, it's so
Yes.
creepy.
Oh man, that
Oh,
that guy. I wonder if he's that creepy in real life.
I don't know, but he's really good in the movie, and I love like it's just so good. Um, so he, scares him with the crucifix, and that's when we get our first what you were talking about, Derek, the first part of his jumbled message. You know,
Hmm.
just the first bit of it, which is, they,
Oh,
yeah,
guys.
what?
Okay, so Simon McBurney is who plays uh the guy that we like, the
Bill.
Crooked Man?
no, no, no.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um
The reporter, yeah.
yes, Morris,
Morris,
right?
yeah. Maurice Gross, yeah.
Yes. So he also plays the voice of Creature in Harry Potter.
Oh, interesting.
I just found it.
Hmm.
And he does not look like that in real life.
No,
So
no.
that's really good makeup that they did.
So, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt with
No,
that
you're right.
news.
What do you guys think of like this, like you said, Derek? I mean, this is where we start to get that kind of messaging that we end up getting, the what your favorite scene, Lydia, when the tapes cross. It's when we start to get that,
Yes.
the first bit of that. And I like the scene following when they're all sitting around the table at the bar, and they're discussing, is this a real event or is it a hoax?
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And we
like
get,
they're like in a diner
yeah, a diner, yeah.
and they're all just kind of going back and forth. I really like that scene a lot because they're all being like pretty respectful of
Yeah,
each other, even though that one woman is like kind of bitchy about
she's
everything.
kind of an asshole still. Yeah.
But it's like she's still like, you know,
Well,
respecting everybody's space,
what
basically.
I like is that Ed and Lorraine are skeptical themselves. They
Yes,
believe the family because they want to believe the family. They're there to
right.
Yep.
help the
And
family.
Lorraine isn't feeling
She's
anything
not feeling anything.
psychically.
Yeah, so she's like, maybe there's nothing here. And when they look at the photos of her levitating, Ed points out, well, the way her knees are bent, it totally looks like she's just jumping and she's caught in midair jumping, you know?
Yeah, it does
Um,
too.
yeah, it does. And she's like, that, I mean, that could easily be what this is, but we don't know. Then there's that great bit, Derek, where the mean one says, I don't know which is worse, the demons or the people who prey upon people that believe in them. And Lorraine says, it's the demons.
Yeah.
It's like it's the demons.
Yeah, good
For
answer.
sure.
Yeah. Uh, there's also a little funny bit that I like in this bit where they first stay the night and they're
Hmm.
sleeping in separate beds for the first time in a long, forever. And he's like, I don't think I could sleep this far away from you. And she says, well, you're gonna. They'll give you something to look forward to when we get home. It's so cute.
That's so cute.
Yeah,
It
it's
was
so
a
cute.
yeah. She delivered that line in just the most innocent way
Yeah,
for
yeah,
you to be like, ah, you guys are a married couple
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
They're
like,
so cute.
oh.
from
Yeah,
the '70s,
yeah,
and we know you're churchy people, so
yeah. Because we'd be
It's like
like,
it's kind of amazing. They seem like the kind of people that would just sleep in separate beds in their own home.
yeah. Well, you would think from what they do, but we
Right.
know that they're very passionate and
Yeah.
and love each other. So that would never happen.
you know, just kind of continue with that and harken back on something that we you had mentioned earlier. So she has that really sweet scene on the swings in the yard
Hmm.
with the little girl, and then later Ed has his own scene
Yeah,
with that little girl as he's fixing
I was
the sink,
about to get
Yes.
in that. This is his Mr. Fix It scene. Yeah,
He's always
and
fixing
it's
stuff.
the other part of that story where he was like, "Oh yeah, my I saw something. My dad told me to like eventually suck it up."
yeah,
And he was like, I waited and, I finally found someone who believed me. He's like, you know what I did then? She was like, you married her? And he's like, you've heard this one, huh?
yeah.
It
You've
was
heard this
very,
story.
You've
it's
heard the
very
story before.
cute.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very cute.
So
And
cute.
I love that there's a character trait that they put in these movies of Ed, where when he goes to these houses to like do investigations, he ends up just fixing all of their shit.
Yeah.
Like he helps
Yeah.
rebuild the car in the
Yeah.
first movie, and then
He's
in this
like
one,
he goes through the list of
yeah,
like he's like,
he's
okay,
like,
so I fixed
so
the cabinet door, I
yeah,
fixed the
fix the cabinet
sink,
door, fix the
I can
sink,
look at the washer,
yeah,
and then you're like, no, don't go look at the washer.
dude. When he opens the door and it's all flooded, and he goes, "Bloody hell!" is hilarious.
Yes. I laughed
While
really hard out loud, and I've seen
while
this
we're
movie several
Oh,
times.
there's another really funny scene in this movie where they're getting out the camera equipment.
oh, I
And he
loved
picks
it.
up that
He's
giant one and
so
he's
funny.
like, oh man, it's so light and small.
Yeah, dude, it's cracked
It's
me up
so
because
small
you
and
see it and
light.
he goes, and then he's like, it's so light and small. It cracked me up. Um, before we get into the basement scene, I
Uh-huh.
want to talk about my favorite scene of this movie.
Go for it.
My favorite scene is a non-scare scene, actually. I mean, my scare scenes are the bread and butter, but my favorite scene of this movie, guys, is when Ed sings Elvis.
Uh yes.
When he pulls out the guitar and he sings the song. It's just
Hmm.
I love it because the record player isn't working, and it's a bonding moment for everybody, and it also solidifies the love story of Ed and Lorraine. And the way
Hmm.
he looks at her when he's singing it, and it's just like this, just the mood of it. It's so
Hmm.
like perfect. And then the way she's starting to I got choked up watching it, like just like feeling, you know what I mean, the love and like
Yeah. Yeah.
how
The
much
the
she
joy
cares. Yeah, the
coming
joy,
from, that he's
music.
just giving.
Yeah,
Yeah, the joy of music that they had taken away from them,
yeah,
that they
and that they're
needed.
and it's given them some sort of resemblance of hope.
Hmm.
And then he's singing it to his wife, who is terrified that she's going to lose him. And the way she starts to cry, it's just a very
The mom gets
awesome.
emotional,
Yeah, it's just an
and
awesome scene.
you see Lorraine see her get emotional, and
Yeah,
like just the emotion coming from everyone is just. I mean, what a great scene.
yeah, and here's what I love about it is in any other horror movie that scene would have been the first to be cut. There's no reason to have it, but James Wan, being James Wan at this point, says I'm gonna have this scene in there, and puts it in there, and it's beautiful. So it's one of my favorite scenes of the movie. I love it.
There's a small editing mistake in this scene.
Oh, is there?
There is. There's a reflection in one of the glass like cabinets. You can see probably someone who has a camera. You can see their like khaki pants.
No.
It's so minor. I
Yeah,
just
it's
because well, when I saw it, I was like, "Is that Bill? Is he like a reflection of Bill?" And I was like, "No, that guy's wearing khaki pants."
Bill might be wearing khaki pants. You never know.
It could be. It
you
could
never
be.
do. Yeah, it's one
Valak
of my
can
But
have some khaki
Amy,
pants
I'm
on.
right there with you, man. This scene is powerful in its own way
hmm
and very emotional.
Yeah,
I
it's one
like
of my
it.
favorites. Yeah, it's the way the music hits, just all of it. And then he sings it, it's him singing it live, and it's just very and I love how it's just the guitar and you have an underscore, a little bit of the music underscoring it of the actual, composer. And I was like, ah, oh, beautiful. Um, so yeah, now let's get to Bill in the basement. What do you guys think of that bit?
Oh, it's so
Mm,
stressful. This is like
Mm,
the stressful one because there's something about not only like the washer is broken and flooded the place, but it's like dark and how like I wouldn't know how to begin to fix this problem. Like he just goes down there and there's like just water gushing out of this pipe.
yeah, he sees it, so he's like,
Like
"Oh, I can close this pipe at least and stop it." But it's like it's so
it's
funny to me. Like,
underwater.
well, here's the thing: I have this. It's not really a phobia, but it's a very strong dislike of wet socks
And he
and
just
wet
steps right
shoes.
in there.
You know what I mean? Like, I hate that feeling of. I hate it so much. So yeah, he steps in, and I was like, no, I'd have to take off my shoes, man. I have to go put on some water shoes or something. I don't
Oh
like
my
it.
gosh.
But yeah, he's, doing the pipe and we see Bill rise from behind him. In the way he's like standing like this, almost
It's weird.
Nosferatu like,
Yeah,
hmm
it's so creepy.
it's weird. It's like
Yeah.
this silhouette just barely visible.
With
And
just the
you're
hands.
like,
Yeah.
what is you gotta like squint to like
hmm
see what's happening. So
And then,
spooky.
of course, Bill pops up and grabs her and pulls her arm under and stuff
Bites
and
her
bites her.
again. That's the second bite we get.
Yeah.
mm
Yeah,
As
because
he
he
bit the little girl.
bit the little girl earlier. There's a
On
great
the
scene in
neck.
between. Yeah. And
How
she's a
freaky is
vampire now.
that? It looks like on her
There's,
like shoulder kind
yeah,
of, but
shoulder. He's getting a
forget
little
that.
fresh. He's a little,
Mm-mm.
little Gatesy. Uh, but there's a great little bit here where Lorraine's talking to Maurice about this, and he's like, it'd be great if wouldn't it be great if we could prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that there's life after death and everything? And she's like, is this why you're doing this? Because of the notoriety and making history? And then we find out his backstory, and it's very sweet. He
Yep.
lost his daughter, and he wants to believe that he wants proof that she's okay,
Yeah.
essentially, which is very like just break your heart in half, right? I mean,
I was
It
like,
is,
they
yeah.
make you love him in one scene.
yeah,
Like one scene, they're
yeah,
like, I love that guy.
yep, love him. Yeah,
You
you're
just
just
want to
like,
hug him.
oh,
Like,
yeah. He's like, kind of like huggable anyway. So
yeah,
you're just like,
yeah.
oh,
He's a gentle, nice
yeah,
man.
a gentle, nice man. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Um, so then the next bit, they see she sees somebody in the other room, and she goes and investigates, or the little boy goes and investigates, and then Janet appears with knives, and then we hear all this ruckus, and we get the whole the hoax scene
Mm-hmm.
where we see stuff flying everywhere, and then she's like, "It's a hoax. I can prove it." The mean one,
Mm-hmm.
and they watch the video, and sure enough, we see Janet, breaking everything. And but what's really creepy about this scene is when they open up the crawl space, and she's like in the electrical box, and she's all like
Yeah.
contorted, and she's like, and Bill starts talking again. saying his creepy shit.
That's what's weird about this scene to me is that she goes in there. Okay, the little boy walks in because he's like, "You heard, Ed. We got to stand up to bullies like
Yeah.
this demon."
Hmm.
And then so the little boy goes into the kitchen by himself, and you get the knives, and then he turns around, and the girl's there, possessed.
Yeah.
She's fully possessed, and then
Seemingly, yeah, yeah.
she's not possessed, and she like fakes this thing. But I'm like, how would they have known from the video if she was possessed or not? Because either way, it's still the little girl doing these things. Like
Yeah,
it
so
doesn't
it's
seem like
I think the
a
way
very logical thing to
well,
conclude.
in
I
the
mean,
fact
but
that they didn't know that she
it
was
looks
being possessed either at that
right,
point. They just thought that they were being haunted as well. So they didn't even know that she's being used as an actual physical vessel.
right.
Um, but yeah, it's a really interesting scene
It's like,
because
how would that have looked different if she was possessed? Is my
I
point. You know what I mean?
well maybe she'd been fucking
Her
floating and
eyes,
shit. Maybe
right? Yeah,
she'd
like
been or she'd been
it's like,
saying stuff like "Dead by dawn, dead by dawn." Who knows?
right.
But
Okay, fair enough.
but what do you guys think of the? There's still a part of me that there's one bit that doesn't sit right with me about the whole her faking it. We see her clearly faking it. We see her
And
smash her
then
stuff, but she
because
throws
then
that
she's possessed
table.
again.
But no,
Yeah,
she
yeah,
throws
yeah.
that table across the. I don't know how many 11-year-old girls you guys know, but I don't know many that are that small that can just heave a table across the room.
Right. I mean, yeah, that's what Jake was saying too when we were watching it. He was like, "What?
Yeah,
Little girls can't just do that."
yeah.
But I don't know. As someone who was once a little girl, I was a pretty strong little girl. I like to think. Not so much anymore, but
I don't think as a full adult you could heave a table across the room.
oh, I could
Yeah.
definitely heave a table. Watch this.
What do you think, Derek?
Derek, do you
No,
think
I
I could heave a
agree.
table?
I don't think you can heave a table, but depends on the table, really.
Card
Um,
table?
That was a
Absolutely.
small table.
Mhm.
Card
That was
I
a
table.
big
mean,
ass, like oak
but it was
looking table.
made. It was back in the day. It was probably made of solid wood.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
from the
That's a
like
good point.
actual like mid 70s.
Yeah.
No, yeah, you're exactly right. Like, um, it's really so she like teleports from the living room
Hmm.
to the kitchen with that knife, right? So I
Hmm.
don't know if they got that on camera, but
No,
but
it
yeah,
looks
I
like it's
mean,
only that window. Yeah.
Hmm.
yeah. So
She's
yeah, I
possessed
mean,
there for sure.
Yeah.
yeah, she definitely is, and
And then she fakes it, and then she's possessed again in the wall.
Or she could have been possessed the whole time, but happened to do these things
Look
physically
like she's faking it.
to make it look like she's faking it
Well,
because
she
they
says
know
she
the
faked
camera's
it.
there.
yeah,
Yeah.
she gives some
She had
motivation
to.
because
Yeah.
Right.
her
Yeah.
sisters try to call her out, like, were you
Yeah.
faking it the whole time? And she was like, I
Hmm.
had to.
Or else they were going
She's
to. Yeah.
kill you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
They have to get everybody out. So yeah, everybody leaves. Everybody disbands. And Lydia, this is where we get your favorite bit where they're on the
Yes.
train and he drops the tapes and they cross over and he gets an epiphany. There's a great like almost Jaws shot from underneath where we do like the pull zoom,
Hmm.
and then he is like, oh, and I love the way it's set up when he has both tape recorders and he plays them both separately and he goes, if I'm right about this, and he plays them and it's Bill saying, they won't help me, they won't let me go. It's just so creepy.
Yeah.
Mm,
It's so good. I remember being like, this is
mm.
the coolest
Yeah,
moment
getting the yeah.
in a horror
Yeah.
movie. Like I don't think I've ever seen that before. I don't have you guys ever seen that in a movie before?
I mean, we get
That like that double tape mixing kind of
I
thing?
don't know
Like
if
what?
I'd have to really think about it, but it's a pretty clever plot device.
Yeah.
because we
Something about
get
it seems familiar to me,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I can't decide what it is.
but
But
it's
if it's not in anything else,
yeah,
that's the coolest thing I've ever
it's a really
seen.
cool reveal
Like,
the way they do it,
yes,
and Lorraine immediately goes into a vision right after that,
Hmm.
which I
and
also had to laugh at.
yeah,
We should
but
both laughed. She like slams
so
her head
I
back.
love it. I love it because it's like it's very jarring when she does it because you're just you're leaning in trying to figure this out, and then boom,
Yeah,
and then we're
we have a
into the
twisted
vision.
sense of humor.
Yeah, we're
For
into
the
the
record.
vision. We're into the vision, and he's talking. Bill's talking to her, and basically tells her this. We find out that Bill is being held hostage, basically,
Mm-hmm.
by this demon, and he wants to go, but it won't let him. And then he says his whole his
Little
riddle.
riddle.
Yeah, his riddle of you know, you're given it at birth. Or at birth it's given to you. It follows you around your whole life and it stays with you to your death.
Mm-hmm.
And then the nun just fucking appears out of nowhere and scared the shit out of me, by the way. I forgot about that jump scare. I was watching it and I was like, ah! It got me. I was like, you motherfucker. Forgot about that one. Forgot about that one. So, um, what do you guys think of the third act here? The final climax. What do you guys think of it?
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It was pretty
Now
awesome.
we know. Now we know what's going on for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't really see like I they kind of set it up in the first movie, right, where they have like two kind of parallel stories going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
One is kind of a side story with the Annabelle character,
Mm-hmm.
and then you've got the actual like haunting. That's kind of how I saw the nun story. And I mean,
That
although it was more prevalent in this one than it was in the previous one, I thought it was going to lead into maybe something down the road. But then the way that they wove it in as like this twist at the end was just borderline genius.
yeah,
Mm.
it's great because it sets up a real antagonist for them, and it's a terrifying antagonist.
Oh my
And
God, man.
we were talking about Lydia and I had talked about this before, but Derek, did you see the names? Did you see Valak in the movie? The name Valak.
Like, other than in her book?
Yeah.
No, but I think I vaguely remember,
Derek doesn't
not
look at the
necessarily.
movies.
That
They
is
I'm just
partially
kidding.
true.
that is part. But no, they it's throughout the movie on different areas, like on the bookshelf. There's those letters that spell out Valak. It's in a lot of scenes, just
It
in the
is.
Yeah,
background.
I have seen something on that before. Now I'm gonna have to go back and watch it. But no, Lydia, you're actually kind of right. Like, really, the only time I have to watch these movies is when I'm working, and these last 2 weeks have been really hard because the movie's been so good. I'm like,
So,
I saw the name in the theater. I
I did
spotted
too.
it.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I don't know how, but like I was like,
The
that's
one I spotted it
what
in
is that? What is
the
that
first
word?
the first time I spotted it was in the den when she's writing in the Bible and I see it on the bookshelf. I saw the name Valak and I
Mhm.
was just
Mhm.
I didn't know how to pronounce it. I didn't know what it was. I was just
Yeah.
like
Like what are those
V8. I was like
words?
that has to be something. That has to mean
Yeah.
something. I was
Yeah.
like maybe it's somebody's a little in joke to one of his buddies. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just a
Mhm.
Easter egg. And then when the name thing came up, I was like, it's Valak. The name is Valak because I've seen it.
Yes.
I've seen it with my eyes.
Some of them are like really small and clever too.
Mm-hmm.
That like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like if
what's
you're not
another one?
looking.
I'm curious.
There's one on the bookshelf, like one behind her on the I mean, they're crammed in there. Like,
Yeah.
in the dining room is another. There's like this little crafty thing. It's mostly the little girl's crafts too,
Mm-hmm.
which is interesting to me.
She's got the gift.
She's been the one kind of putting these letters everywhere, it
She's got the
seems.
shine, guys. She's got the
She
shine.
does
Right?
have
I
the
mean,
shine.
she's the first one that sees it too in the house,
Yep, she is.
which
Well,
I
not
think is the
really. She doesn't.
weirdest.
She doesn't. Because it's Lorraine's vision.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's Lorraine's vision that sees it.
Because she's like, Mom, let's come here. There's someone in here.
Yeah, and then when she wakes up, she's on the couch. She's like, "Mom, what are you doing?" As she's carving it into. So Ed, I mean, what do you?
Hmm.
I think the bit of Ed going into the house and that whole uh that scene at the door where the door shuts and they have a conversation through the door is so good because it's so emotional.
Yeah.
It's like that, you know. I know I made you a promise, but I've got to go. You know,
I hate that part.
yeah,
It pisses me off.
it's so good.
You
It's so good.
promised.
Yeah, it's
You
so
promised,
good
Ed.
because he's like, I've got to go save a life. I've got to do my thing, and it's just like,
Promises. I would never trust you again. Promises mean nothing to this guy.
and then he uh he goes
You have
through the
high
whole
standards,
motions.
Lydia.
Yes, I do.
So
Trust
when
is a
she,
very a thing I hold very high.
so when we find out when she finds out the name and the tree gets struck by lightning and reveals the point, it's a very great moment because you're like, oh, that's how he's supposed to die. Like
And you're like, oh
that's
no.
yeah, oh no. It's happening. And
hmm
so when she goes into when Ed's holding Janet and saved her from jumping and he's hanging on and he's like falling and she goes in to save him and fucking Valak standing in the corner, the nun. She's so terrifying in that scene, right?
Yeah.
Her
So
teeth.
real quick before we get to this, we got to talk about the hatchet guy because
Oh,
a couple of
hatchet
things.
guy.
How are you that inefficient with an axe that it takes you 12 years to chop through a door?
Who do you think he is?
First off,
Jack Nicholson?
I guess.
Right. It's
Then
not
the
an
second,
axe, it's a tiny hatchet. He might as well have
whatever,
been using
man.
a butter knife.
And then it's really funny because he's a bigger guy. I would have the same issue if I were
Yeah.
were him. But like, she goes to go through the door. He's like, no, no, let me do it. And I'm like, dude, there's no way in the world you're gonna fit through that tiny little
Well, then he
hole that you've
continues to try
made.
to chop it.
He's like,
Yeah,
dang it.
yeah.
Oh
That's all
Yeah,
man.
I
I
got on that.
really
But
that's a fun scene. It's kind of stressful, but it's like just seeing him like
Yeah, I gotta go
keep
back
going.
in.
But I really love like right before they get into the house, it shows like all hell break loose, literally.
Mm-hmm.
And so the two girls are floating in the living
Yeah,
room.
the levitation. Yeah,
I love that image, the
yeah,
imagery. The
it's very
girls,
scary.
the older sister's like screaming. She just is like, "Mom, help! Like I don't know what to do.
Yeah,
I'm floating."
and then
And
she's
the other
like,
girl
"Oh,
is just, I
yeah,
mean, that image of her being so evil is so cool.
yeah, it's good." Um, the showdown with Valak is very scary. Like when she's there, it's very stressful, and she's like, "I know your name," and that gives me dominion over her. And she says the name, and it's like, oh, she's hurt immediately. And she casts her out, and it turns into like some fucking demon. You see, like the horns and
Yeah,
stuff of the demon.
I always
And
forget about that.
I do too. When I watched it this time, I was like, oh, I forgot about that.
It's so
And then,
crazy.
then she's gone. Um,
Yeah,
yeah. Do you like this ending? The like the final showdown. Do you think it delivers?
yeah, I think it's pretty good. I'm not gonna. I just I don't know how I could pick it apart too much because I don't know how else they would have possibly ended it. You know what I mean? Like I don't have
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
better than that. So-
No, I love the very end. Like I said last time, I love the ending of these first two Conjurings. The wrap up, where they're all like everybody's happy. They're like in their blankets and stuff, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
Ed gives her the cross that he had and said, and when you grow up and you run into somebody that's in trouble, you give it to them. It's like very sweet. It's
Yeah.
like a great, like, let's pass this on kind of thing.
And she's like, "You guys said there was only one person, but I've got two."
Yeah,
Whatever.
it's a little saccharine sweet, but still works. The emotion still works.
She's such
Uh
a cute little girl.
oh, she is. And then
Poor thing.
we get that push-in shot of where they talk about the family, and we find out that the mother died in the same chair as Bill Wilkins.
Yes. In the same
Ah,
corner, anyways.
yeah,
Or like,
it's the
you
same
know.
chair. She said the same
I was
chair.
I that part did give me chills because I forgot about that too.
Yeah,
But
Wait,
I
what?
was talking to Jake about
Who's
you
that.
didn't
mom?
see the
The mom in the movie,
the mom, the Hodgins mom.
or the mom in real life, technically.
Yeah, the real life mom.
Oh, like the credit, like porch,
Yeah.
like the.
Well, no,
Oh,
like
that's
right
creepy.
before we get to the last scene, yeah, it shows like a little caption that says, they stayed there and she lived there the rest of her life. And
Yeah.
then she died sitting in the same chair that Bill Wilkins died in.
Oh, I would have got rid of that thing.
Yeah, it would
Uh,
not have been in my house.
Yeah.
There's no way.
So, is it me? Is it just me? Did it seem like that corner like deteriorated over the course of the movie?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. The wall was like
Yeah.
moldy and like falling
Moldy.
apart.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like a hint to you to be like, there's
Stay
something
away
going
from
on
that.
over there. Yeah.
Um,
I was saying to Jake, I was like, did they do to this chair what they did to the Annabelle doll?
nope.
Like, did they make this chair way more terrifying than what it
Oh
was in
yeah,
real life?
yeah, you're right because it is
Oh, for
really
sure.
scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It is
But
kind of a
not like
creep. How could a
the other
chair be
chair was just
scary?
a
But it is.
yes. It's like its own character. Like the original Annabelle was like a Raggedy Ann doll.
And
Not
then they
very
made it the
scary.
most
Everybody had one.
terrifying, creepy thing that's
Yeah,
ever
exactly.
existed.
They made it overly
Um,
scary.
so I really love the actual ending of this movie where we get the callback to the room and he puts the crooked man uh thing down and then we hear
Yeah.
Elvis again. And he walks
Yeah.
out and Lorraine's playing the record and it ends with them dancing with each other and it finishes the more of their love story because that's what these
Mhm.
movies are about. I love the ending. Love the ending. What do you guys
Yeah.
think?
I have that record.
It's a great record.
Agreed.
It's a great ending. Yeah.
It doesn't look as new as that one did.
Oh no, that one's probably new.
It was new at that time.
What do
Mine's
you
a lot older.
that's The Conjuring 2. So what are your guys' thoughts? Derek,
I
let's
just
start
want
with
to.
you. Oh, go ahead,
Sorry.
Lydia.
I just wanted
No,
to
go
point
ahead.
out one more scene that we didn't really get to talk about when she is sleepwalking and she's tying her wrist up with a jump rope.
Oh, we didn't talk about one of the scariest scenes of the movie. You're right.
When she is underneath,
Upside down on the ceiling. Yeah,
yes,
she's
and
on
her
the
jump rope
ceiling.
is still attached,
Yeah.
so she like can't do anything or go anywhere.
And then she gets pulled. We see Bill walk,
In the
like
chair.
stand up from the
Yes.
chair, walk upstairs, and then she gets pulled through the door, and then the whole room that's covered in crosses spin
Yes.
around to upside down crosses.
Another
the, like,
iconic scene.
One of the most beautiful images I've ever seen in a horror movie.
Yes.
It's
Which I
so
think they did use that in the
memorable.
I love that happens here, but when the mom is trying to get in the door and it just cracks open a little bit, and you
Yeah.
see Bill's
Yeah.
hand go around her mouth and pull her back, and then his face, and you're just like,
Yeah.
"Ugh."
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Good call, Lydia. Thanks for bringing that up. I forgot. We completely skipped it.
You did great.
Because I had it in my mind to talk about it, and I just kept forgetting because we kept moving on. But
There's another one actually. We didn't talk about the fire truck coming out of the tent. We mentioned the tent.
we touched on it. We touched on it a little bit. Yeah.
Yes, but
When
like
it
that
comes
fire
out.
truck scene is so loud. It's like very jarring to me to like that fire truck coming out of
Yeah,
that tent like that.
Ed during the last battle runs into the
Oh
Crooked
Mhm.
yeah,
Man, has a
he gets
big
blinded.
confrontation. He gets blinded, then he has a big confrontation with the Crooked Man. He
Yep.
sees him in the tent, then he's following him around. Fuck that Crooked Man.
Oh man.
All right, Derek, let's start with you. What are your thoughts on Conjuring
Uh,
Deuce?
Conjuring 2 is also, I would say, a modern classic horror movie. Like it will live on for sure. It looks like Lydia is sharing something. Oh, good.
Well, there
That's
he is.
exactly what I would if I were a little girl, I'd be like, yeah, no way.
Fuck yourself.
I just
Yeah.
realized who this is. Do you know who that is, Jamie?
Yeah, I looked it up. It is
The hand gives it
Javier
away.
Bote is a Crooked Man.
Amazing.
Javier, yeah, Javier Bote. Yeah, yep.
Wonderful,
Anyway, sorry,
wonderful
Derek.
character
Oh yeah, no worries.
actor.
Go ahead, Derek. Sorry.
Sorry, Derek.
So no, you're good. Uh this is a modern classic horror movie. It will scare the crap out of people for, for as long as we have film. You know, the nun character is just so unsettling.
Hmm.
They did such a great job of her makeup, a lot of the transitions. It's got one of the scariest scenes in any movie, and it's
Hmm.
scary because like the suspense that goes into it. Because
Yeah,
every single time you see that painting over her shoulder, and it's like 3 or 4 times, you're just expecting something to happen, and then nothing does.
yeah. It's
And then you get the two uh, really scary parts about it, where she walks up to turn the light on, and just the way that it's lit, how the accents are, it just man, it's so good. It's so good. It's hard to think of another movie where it's that impactful. Maybe if you watched Halloween for the first time and you
yeah, in
saw the
'78,
silhouette
especially. Yeah,
of Michael Myers, yeah, because you have no how like really no concept of like
yeah.
what
I mean,
horror
the scene
can
you're talking
be
about is an all timer where he pops out from the
for
darkness. He disappears.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that I mean the scene is so unsettling in this movie, and the twist that they have at the end, the chemistry with the actors, especially the two main actors, like they really portray, to your point, a, a great love story for it being a horror movie. And I think sometimes it's really hard to mix those two in together. I can't offhand think of another movie that does that. Maybe the sequel or like the second uh, part of Haunting of Hill House.
Hmm.
That's kind of a
Yeah,
love
that's
story
a
as
great
well.
one
But
too. Great one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so it's really hard to
Masters.
do. And again, I mentioned it earlier. They have these two storylines that they're telling at the same time. So easy it would be to like screw one of them up, and they don't whatsoever. And then they bring them together for the climax of the movie. So, um, man, I don't even know what to rate this movie. I was gonna go
Yeah,
with a
you do.
9.5. Uh, the
What'd you
like
rate the
the
last one?
A 10.
9. Oh, did I
Did
rate it
you?
a 10?
You rated a 10. Yeah.
Did I rate it a 10?
Yeah.
I thought I rated it a 9. I was like, I don't know if I can rate this one higher than that one because that
No,
one
you
was so
rated it
good.
a 10. You rated it a
If I
10
rated it a
because
10, then this one gets a 10 too.
yeah,
I'm looking that up.
you
But
did. Because I
it's
rated it a
so good.
9.5 and I ruined our perfect rating last
Yeah,
week.
I see how it
You
is.
blew it.
Yeah, no, I did give it a 10. Lydia, you did too. So I'm gonna go 10 again, man. That's two in a row. That's hard to do, especially for it being the same director, and sequels are hard to do in general.
Yeah.
and they pulled it off.
Yeah. Lydia.
I'm gonna give this movie a 10 as well. Um, it's just good. I love the first one. I love this one. They're I think I've said enough about how much I love this one. It's perfect. I agree with everything Derek said. Everything came together perfectly to make a masterpiece of a horror movie again, which is
Yeah.
almost impossible to do, right? But
Yeah.
nailed it.
I agree. Very well said, Derek. You nailed everything pretty well down. And to your guys' point, it is hard to make two masterpieces. I mean, who can we think of that made two masterpieces and like that are stone cold masterpieces like sequel, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Who can we say? Wes Craven did it with um Nightmare and New Nightmare, I feel like. I
I mean,
think
but
that
even that one, like they're generations apart.
yeah, they are absolutely. The I have one that I don't want to give away yet, but I'll talk about it in a second. Um, yeah, you're right. It is so hard to do back to back because even like the best, some of them, our favorite horror movies, the sequels kind of are a little less. I mean, we'll talk about Halloween 2 eventually, and that's another one where uh, I like Halloween. I think Halloween 2 is very, very, very solid, but it's not the same filmmaker doing it. John Carpenter wrote it, but didn't direct it, and it's not as good as the first one. But you think, how could it be? But that's what you think about The Conjuring. How could it be? How could it be as good? And in my opinion, I like it better, just because I think some of the scares work better in the first movie, but I think the story is better in this one, and I think the performances are stronger, and I think that the love story makes it a richer movie. I just
Mm-hmm.
think it's the craft of filmmaking is even better in this one for sure. Um, so I would give it a 10 out of 10. This is our second straight or our second all 10. So I also give this 10 out of 10 pumpkins. Now I'm trying to think of like, well, I guess maybe Hatchet 2. Hatchet 2 is pretty on par with Hatchet. I would say even better probably. We'll see when we get to that one. But that was The Conjuring. Great stuff. So guys, it's time to Atkinize this movie. Who would Tom Atkins play in this movie that's perfectly cast?
Right.
It's pretty hard.
I'm gonna
Probably
go
the
with my
Hatchet
original.
guy.
It's got to
Who?
be the priest.
The priest?
Yeah, I think I mentioned him in the previous.
Yeah, I mean, because a lot of the other characters are English anyway, so it is.
Yeah.
What do you think, Lydia? The priest?
Yeah.
Yep, I'm gonna go with the priest as well, but with the caveat that the priest has to be smoking a cigarette and drinking a Miller,
Right. Yes.
And
of
say
Absolutely.
thrill
course,
me.
right? And he obviously has to say "thrill me." That's like a given for any part. Um, I agree, guys. I think we nailed the acronization of this one because there's just nobody else. I mean, he could play Bill Wilkins. but
That's funny.
but no, the priest. I think it is. So, guys, it's my turn to pick this week, and I've been thinking about it for a while. And I talked to Derek earlier and mentioned a couple movies. I've been while we were I actually flipped between two different movies while we were recording this episode, trying to think of what I wanted to do. And I think I settled on it. Um, so, guys, this week or next week, we're going to watch the other movie that I think is a masterpiece, followed by a masterpiece. And that is Sam Raimi's Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn.
Yes.
one
I
of the
was
most fun
muted for
movies.
my first scream.
Yeah.
You guys didn't get to hear that.
So, yeah, Evil Dead 2. What do you guys think? You ready for it?
Yes.
I'm ready for it.
It is
It's been a long time since I've seen that movie.
Yeah, I think it's a completely opposite tone of this movie, but I think quality-wise, that jump that we talked about is pretty much the same from Conjuring to Conjuring 2. So, you guys have anything else to add about The Conjuring before we move on? Watch them all. They're great. We'll get into the spin-offs and sequels eventually. We have plenty more weeks to go through all of the movies.
So many weeks.
Yep.
So many weeks. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on social media. You can find us on our website at HiLa Productions. You can find us on social media on Facebook at HiLa Productions. You can find us on Instagram at Scream Bloody Movies. You can find us. You can find Lydia on Twitter at Lydia is Spooky. Find Derek on Twitter at DDog Lee Master. You can find me on Twitter at Racket. We have some updates. The movie we released the month that it's coming out in May. At the end of May, the movie will have a premiere. There'll be much more on that in the coming weeks. So be sure to watch the Facebook page for that announcement. So that's really exciting, guys. We're in the home stretch.
I can't believe it.
People are finally going to see this thing that we've been working on for 4 years.
I know.
It's going to be so awesome.
Are you pandemic?
Yeah. The pandemic definitely put a damper on this one. Actually, be sure to comment, guys. We're thinking about doing once the movie is actually released, doing a podcast talking about the making of the movie. Let us know if you're interested in that. Also comment on your favorite scene of The Conjuring, and comment if you want to hear Derek's brown short story.
No.
It has to happen. Has to happen, guys.
Don't
Do it. Day.
Of course,
I feel like this is going to be so built up at this point.
It is. It's
probably not even that good of a story.
It's not. Derek's like, one time my brother wore brown shorts.
No, it's not that.
It's not that, but that would be great.
I mean, they might as well have been brown shorts.
But also, be sure to share the videos and watch them. And let's see if we can't beat Lumberjack Man with this video. That motherfucker doesn't stop. LBJ doesn't quit.
There's the shirt.
Yeah, LBJ don't quit. You need to make one that says "I pancake boobies."
Are you hooting?
Hoots. Get those hoots. Hooting. Why don't you go suck a turd?
I would totally wear a shirt that said that.
You should make a suck a turd shirt. That's another one that needs to be made.
No, oh my gosh. Derek, a white shirt with just suck a turd on it.
Yep. Why don't you go suck
Derek
a turd?
wouldn't have
Written
to
in
change
brown.
He wouldn't have to change his uniform that he wears every week.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, Derek's like fucking the full shirted John McClane. He just
I was thinking about this. I should probably have been in that band, the Plain White Tees, or at least
you should have. Yeah, you
I'm
should
a
have.
fan.
You should be a spokesperson for Hanes. It's you and Michael Jordan.
These are not Hanes. I forget the name of it, but it's not Hanes.
Fruit of the Loom.
No.
Are you fruiting?
Tagless.
You fruiting?
Fruiting? No, I specifically looked at because I had a set of older shirts. These are the best shirts I've ever had as far as like white shirts go. They feel so good. So I had to like look up who they were and then order them again because they are fantastic.
Derek, I just realized what it is. I realized the best equivalent. You are like a cartoon character. Like you
Oh,
always
good.
wearing the same shirt. Like you have like
Yeah.
a closet full of the same white t-shirts.
Like a
You're like
Hey
a
Arnold.
cartoon. Yeah, or yeah, Hey Arnold or Ernest.
The closet
That's
full of the same
hilarious.
outfit every day.
Yeah, yeah. Let me put on my vest. The Ernest outfits.
The earnest one, I see that. That's funny. It's mean and rude, but
Partially
probably
true.
true.
Just wear a
All right,
different color
guys.
every once in a while.
Yeah.
We won't make fun of you. So.
Well, I think the problem is he just can't see what color it is. He doesn't know if it's black and white.
Oh. Oh. Oh.
I am this close from quitting this podcast.
Uh, anything
Got
else
him.
anything
That
else
was
you guys
like
want to add before we sign
3 or
off?
4 times in one podcast.
Yeah, sorry, Derek, we went a little
We're on
hard.
a
Let's
roll.
make fun of
Rude.
Lydia's shirt. It's weird.
No.
Looks like a lava lamp.
Got
That's
her. Let's
kind of
make
cool,
fun of my
actually.
shirt. It's black, idiot.
Duh. Typical.
Typical. Of course you'd be wearing a black t-shirt. Well, it's actually a button-up. It's a
Lydia, I
button-up.
like lava lamps, so
I do too. And
This was handmade.
Derek, I like
is it
cartoon
really?
characters, just so you know.
Yes.
Hey, Ernest was a staple in my
I
household
call
growing
it
up.
Yeah,
So
me too.
I call it my berries and cream shirt.
berries and cream. Okay.
It's a nice. I like it. It's good.
Thank
Um.
you.
Well, guys, that went off the rails at the end there. I love it.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
So be sure to watch Evil Dead 2. I don't know where it's streaming. But own it because I own like 4 copies of that goddamn movie. So own it. Do it. Do it now.
Get to the chopper.
Okay, okay.
All right. If there's nothing else for Derek Lemaster and Lydia Judy, I'm Jamie Hiles. And remember, if you're going to scream bloody movies. Good night, folks.